So I'm sat here with the legend, Jay Wearden.
I don't know about that one.
And we're going to have a chat about your journey. So you started off getting into hip-hop, didn't you?
Yeah, I was a hip-hop DJ. Well, really, my journey started when I was about 10 years old, so nobody in my family was really into music or anything like that, but I become obsessed by the time I was about 9 or 10. And I always felt like music would be my life, but I didn't actually know how it would be. I tried in bands. I had a good friend called Carl Mansell who was a really good drummer, and he ended up sort of making it on the indie scene. And I used to go around to his house, and I'd be writing songs when I was like 10 or 11, but it didn't really fit. And I always felt like this calling, and I had this incredible love for music. And I like I say, I was spending all my pocket money from being like 10 or 11, but I didn't really know what that calling was. It was like I had this drive, and I had this absolute obsession with music, really. And I got into DJing. I got into hip hop, and I got into hip hop probably quite early. And where I lived, people weren't really into hip hop, and I got a bit of grief. Really, I was called, N-lover and all that sort of stuff. And I used to go. But the perverse thing was, I'd go to black clubs, and then I'd get grief for being white. So it didn't really. So I've always been a bit of an outsider, really. I've always sort of had my own way and always thought differently. And I think I put a post up recently that I've realised that I suffer from. It's not even suffer. I've just got ADHD. It's my superpower. I've got this mind, this way of thinking, and nothing is going to change that. I don't care what anybody else thinks or anybody else says. So that took me sort of on the journey to music, really. And then I was going to hip hop clubs. I was going to like the Sally Army and Holland Street, the worst fucking dancer you've ever seen in your life. So I couldn't beatbox, I couldn't rap, I couldn't dance, couldn't break or anything like that. So the logical thing really was to be, a DJ and scratch and do that sort of thing. And I'd sit there with Syntronic magazines, and in those days it was like the mobile DJ places that sold equipment. So I'd be there with catalogues looking at turntables, and I'd go in the youth clubs, and they'd have double decks in there, belt-driven ones, and I'd be playing around on them, and that's how it started, really.
How did you get into hip-hop?
It was a progression, really. I always loved electronic music. I just love music. I just love the sounds. And I probably hear sounds probably quite different than other people. I can't compartmentalize them, which is hard for me to say. And I hear them repetitive, and I had an MRI a few years ago, and I was sat in there, and they put the headphones on, and they weren't working. So I was in there for an hour, and they came out and they went, "Oh, we're really sorry that you've been hearing that clunking." And I said, "God, I loved it. I loved all those sounds, and I enjoyed that." So I hear things probably slightly different than other people, and I drive probably Rosie a bit mad because she'll be enjoying a piece of music and I'm breaking it down into tiny little pieces. So I think I just fell in love with the rhythm and the mood and just the vibe of it, really, and I think that's always carried on through into my style of DJing. I still feel like, even though I play house music, I still play in a hip hop style, the way I chop things up and I use loops, and and I've got that sort of groove. So hip hop's still in me. I'm still a b-boy. Skate, my mates here who I was in a hip hop band with. So
you were in a hip hop band?
Yeah, I was in a hip hop band. Yeah.
What was it called?
It was shit. I don't even think we had a name. Well, Skate was amazing. He's probably the best beatboxer in Manchester, but I was terrible. We had a really good rapper. We had a guy doing the beats, but we were probably the nerdiest, geekiest hip hop band ever. We probably would have been, if we'd have made it, because we were so nerdy, we probably would have had a sort of a cult following in Korea or somewhere like that. Yeah, so when I was at college, so I didn't really, school didn't really work for me, and I went to sixth form college, and I met a load of weirdos at college, and we were doing hip hop together.
Where was the first venue that you played in?
I think we were doing sort of school discos and all that sort of stuff, and I did a couple of mobile DJ things with my friend, but the first proper gig was at the venue in Manchester on Whitworth Street. So the people I went to college with, they had an 18th birthday party, and I'd been doing hip-hop and, just DJing that way, scratching, etc. But I played this club, the venue was a great club, and I played it, and I was playing to people, and I just loved the way it made me feel, the way I could express myself, and that was in the days of DJ boxes, which I still love, where nobody can see you. It's not about you, it's about the sound, and I love the term that DJ should be heard and not seen, because I think what I'm doing is way more important than me. I'm not exciting, I'm not important, but the music is important, and what I can do with the music is exciting. So that was the first club. A long answer. You'll get long answers from everything.
I always associated the venue with indie music, but Tintin was telling me they had some really good acid house nights there.
They did, but that was the difference between then and now. So it was cross-genre music to me, and it's still the same for me. Music is music. It's what it makes you feel, and the genre doesn't really matter to me. You can be playing indie, you can be playing... And Tintin was, a perfect example. I used to go to DeVille's, and Tintin...
I used to go there.
Yeah, and Tintin would be in there, and he'd be playing like hip-hop, he'd be playing house music, he'd be playing the Smiths, he'd be playing, ACR, all that amazing. And it's a mashup. As long as it makes you feel something, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter. It's just that it's touching you, and you can dance to anything. And I still have that ethos now, really, is when I'm DJing. It's just, if you can work it in and you can make somebody feel something, then what does it matter who's made it? If it's on guitars, if it's on drum machines, if you're doing it on your toothbrush, it doesn't really matter as long as it's something amazing.
Did you do Precinct 13 before the Thunderdome?
So, So my friend who did the 18th birthday party, we had this idea to take over the world, so we were looking as you do when you're 18. So we were looking for clubs, and Precinct 13, which was on King Street, that ended up being south, was this little small club, and it used to be Stuffed Olives. It was like a gay club, but it was the first place that was a proper acid house club before it changed to Precinct 13. So we used to do a Wednesday night in there, myself and Dale Kerrigan, and Scape, who's here, used to go, and we'd probably get 3 or 4 of our college friends. In fact, more people were DJing than were actually in the club. So people don't realise that you have to go through the hard knocks, and you have to play to know people. I'd get 5 or 6 people in that, women that were on a works do, and they'd come in with their handbags, and then we'd just smoke the dance floor so they didn't feel like they were on their own, and we'd try and keep them in there and play the cheesiest stuff that we could, that we had at the time, just so that we had 4 or 5 people in there. So I did that first for probably about a year, maybe 8 months.
I get mixed up with the time frame. So I went in the Konspiracy, but I didn't go in the Thunderdome.
Right.
You did both, didn't you? Which did you do?
I did, but I can't remember doing Konspiracy.
Yeah, you did.
I can't.
Someone sent me a flyer.
I've seen a flyer, but I've seen loads of flyers, and I think, God, was I really there? But I think Bez said a really good thing. If you were there, you don't remember it. Yeah. So it was amazing time, amazing time. So yeah, I did play, and it was a bit. And the music business, and probably people don't realise it, it's a bit like, it's that rivalry, really. So the Konspiracy and the Thunderdome were sort of at loggerheads, really, about, because they wanted to be the #1 underground club. The Hacienda was its own thing. It had a lot of media type. It had a lot of people that were probably a lot better educated than most of us. So it was a very different scene. So Konspiracy and the Thunderdome were sort of vying for the same working class, earthy people. I'll call them earthy. That's probably a nice way of saying it.
I love what Andy said. He said that the Thunderdome was more or less like the anti-Hacienda.
It was the complete opposite, but it allowed people that were probably not accepted, in the rest of society. But I always use this word, the leveller. Everybody was the same. It didn't matter. Before that, it was Thatcher, Britain. Everybody had nothing to look forward to. There was separation by race. There was separation by area. There was separation if you were a boy or a girl. All that. It taught everybody that everybody was the same, and it didn't really matter. You went in there and you could be a United fan, you could be from Salford, you could be from Cheetham Hill, and you saw the person. You didn't see all the other bullshit that doesn't really matter. And you could be who you wanted to be in there, and I think it taught us an important lesson, and I still live, by those values that I learnt then. It changed my world, and it changed a lot of people's world.
It changed everything, didn't it, Acid House? It was so powerful, wasn't it? That year, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and it was a bit like, it felt like we were fighting the world, and we were like this. It was our secret, and we could do whatever we wanted, and you felt empowered. You felt that you didn't have to do the job that your mum and dad did, and you could, there was a bigger world out there. You could see past this, the doldrum of life, and you didn't have to do the 9 to 5. No fucker worked anyway. Everybody just lived for the Saturday night, really, and they grafted to get enough money, really, to do that. So it was amazing, and I mentioned people like Tommy Smith, that he suffered, for that. He would be, arrested and put in jail, and for years and years he'd kidnapped by gangsters and all sorts of stuff. So it wasn't always easy. I mean, I'd been in police raids, and I've had, been followed, and I was just the DJ.
Where was you raided?
I was raided in the Thunder. Well, first I was raided when I was at my friend's house, and I was that naive. I think I gave him my phone book, and I was going, "Oh yeah, he's a promoter here and he's a promoter there," because I'm just a bit daft, really. I'd be knackered without Rosie, so I just gave him a phone book, and they'd actually been following me for weeks round at my friend's house, and then probably about 2 or 3 days later, I was DJing in the Thunderdome, and probably one of the best nights we've had in the Thunderdome. They bust it on a Thursday night, came in through the doors, turned the music off, and all the guys who'd done the bust, all the police were all stood in the DJ box with me. I was a bit cockier when I was in there than when I was at my friend's house, so I was having a laugh with them, and everybody was shouting, so they were so the inspector came in with his cane and fully dressed up in his full top brass police regalia. He had his like silver lapels, and came in with a cane, and you can imagine full of scruffy manx. And Thursday night was the proper hardcore night as well. It was all the grafters from Manchester, so it was like really down to earth, people that didn't take any shit. So they kept saying be quiet, and every time they said be quiet, it was like a red rag to a bull. So everybody's like shouting, so they're like dragging people off, and eventually they got bored of dragging people out. Didn't really find anything in the club, to be honest. And then as they were leaving, I put a business, I can't remember, a party line, and as I put it on, the whole police force ducked down because it was that loud. They thought they were being shot. It was unbelievable. If we'd have had video in those days, it would have been incredible.
So I love what Drew Ellison said, that he worked at Eastern Bloc and he got paid in records, didn't you?
I did. Well, I've never been interested in money. I'm not interested in money. I'm interested in being happy, and I'm interested in making other people happy. I always say that we're in the joy business. Money doesn't mean anything. Happiness means everything, really. If you can be happy, you're rich, aren't you, really? So all I ever wanted, and it was to get these amazing pieces of music and share them. And people ask me, what is a DJ? A DJ is an educator. I spent, and that's why even at the nights that we do that are, they're not revival nights. They're a look back to that night, and we play stuff from that music, from that era, but I still play new stuff. I spend hours and hours and hours for one record. I find I must spend I must go through 500 records, really. So being at Eastern Bloc, I only worked at Eastern Bloc so that I was there more and I had an excuse to be there more, really, to be honest. So I was paid in records because everything I got I spent on music, and I loved it.
Peter, give him a shout out. He said that he loves that you do what classed as reunions, but you don't play the obvious tracks, and you play B-sides as well a lot. So it's like you'll play a lot of tracks that people might not know.
Yeah, and even because I want to put the hard work in. I care about, people coming through. It's lazy. I want to play music that excites people, and it excites me. And the way I DJ now, with all the technology and what I do, and the way I deconstruct it really and make it. So if I'm going to play an old track, it's a track that not everybody else has played, or it's a different mix, or I've re-edited it, or I'm playing it in a different way. When I'm playing now, I can be playing something from the beginning at the track at the end. I'll like jump around the track using loops and stuff. So I'm trying to make it exciting and modern, and it goes back to the educating point, is that some people haven't heard these, amazing gems of tracks. And music's timeless. If it's a good track, it doesn't matter. But you don't hear the same track that you've heard a million times, or the ones that you want to, that people want you to play. I don't want to play tracks that people want me to play. I want people to listen to me. And I'd rather, and that's not a big-headed thing. I see it as an art form, really. I work so hard on it, and I want people to, I'd rather have 2 people come and they listen than have 1,000 people and I'm just playing them like a jukebox. They can hear what they want at home. You don't go in a restaurant, do you, and go in the back and say, oh, I love the way that I cook pasta at home. Can you just do my recipe? You don't, do you? Oh, and it's like tunes as well. People request tunes off you. It's like if you've got a star player in a football team, if they don't play in the system and they don't work with everybody else, I see that each track it's like a team member. It all has to work. It all has to fit in. I don't even really choose the tracks. The tracks choose themselves. What works in the whole scheme of the night. It's not just like I'm playing big tracks to just make people dance. I want it to have it's like a symphony. I want people to feel things. I love that. I want light and shade. Sometimes it's as important not to make people dance. I want people to feel things. I don't want them to dance. I want them to feel it.
Do you know what? I really loved it. Obviously works what you do, and you've got a following. And look at all the people that have come down today. And I loved it. I was chatting to Andy the other day, and we're in about the house. Yeah. And then you got a following from the Thunderdome. Yeah. So that must have felt really special to have people follow you down just for you.
It did, and I've never taken that for granted, really. I feel really blessed, but I've tried to work really hard at that, really, and never. I always use the word authentic as well, and feel authentic, be authentic. Make the people here, I appreciate all the people here, is make them feel special. Make them feel that, that they're just as important. Everybody goes, oh, the DJ's this, that, and the other. But you know what? You guys, without you, we're nothing. And I've always taken that, and I use that energy. If anybody watches when I'm DJing, I'm not looking at anybody, but I can feel them. I'm so detached from sort of my physical senses. I can't really see because I'm so into the music, but I can feel if what I'm doing isn't working as well, so that then I can change it. I have like a set formula before I work it all out before I go out, but then if it's not working, then I change it and I can fall back on, I've been playing since I was 18. I'm 144 now, so I've got a bit of experience really to do that and to move through those gears, really. What
was the house like?
House was incredible. It was And to be honest, at the time I felt a bit. So you had Shelley's that was like this big super club, and Sasha was ripping up trees and it was doing amazing things there. But now that I look back, and I'll be honest, I felt slightly jealous because I was in this little club. But now when I think back, that was more precious because we had a hard core of people. The atmosphere, was incredible. It never gets the plaudits, but I've never been about plaudits, and the people that were there enjoyed it, and we enjoyed it, and it was important. It doesn't matter to anybody else. It's not about everybody saying oh how great you are. It was making that difference and what we did together. It felt special. It probably fitted 150 people in there. It was rammed every single week, and how I got it, the Thunderdome had shut, and then I went to Bugsy's in Ashton because Sasha was doing Bugsy's in Ashton. I didn't know that. Yeah, so Sasha was doing there on a Friday, and then I was friends with the Hughes brothers who were involved in it, so I used to go down, and I was friends with Sasha at the time, and I went there, and I must be the kiss of death because everywhere I go, the club got busted 2 weeks later, so I had no club. So
a different type of following.
Well, yeah, maybe the police were just following me everywhere. So I went in the club, and Leaky Fresh was playing, and they were doing Hippos. It only just opened, so they just invested loads of money, and it was John from one of the Quality Street guys who owned it. I can't remember his second name, but he owned it, and I went in, and I had so much bravado, and I just said, I know you're struggling, give me a night and I'll fill it. And the first night I did it was full, and that was just word of mouth. There was no flyers or anything. So, and I did there for about a year, and I just felt it was time to move. And when I was said I'm going to go, they said, "Oh, you can have the whole door." So everything that was on the door. So in those days, it was like 700. I think I was getting about 150 quid. It was like 700, 800 quid, to do it. And I said, money doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not interested. I just want to do something different. And I did, and left.
Do you know what? That's amazing thinking about it. That no phones, no internet, no flyers. That just word of mouth, you could fill a club.
Well, the Thunderdome didn't have any flyers. The only time we ever did a flyer for the Thunderdome was when Alan Evans burnt it down accidentally on purpose. So we could get a new sound system and new lights. So that was the only time we ever... But there's an amazing story about when somebody from another club in Manchester that I probably mentioned earlier blew up the power station outside. So we were playing on a Saturday night at the Thunderdome, and the power station coincidentally blew up, and all the power went off. So everybody left the Thunderdome and went to Konspiracy. And I don't know if the council, whoever went out or whatever they did, didn't actually really, do enough damage to take the power out. But the power came on, and everybody that was in the club, probably 1,000 people, suddenly came back in the club within 15, 20 minutes. There's no phones then. How the hell did everybody just suddenly come back? So they'd left our club, gone to Konspiracy or wherever else, and were back in. I mean, it was the power of the people. It was the power of those times. We communicate, and I think that's what we still try and do now. I know we do videos, this, that, and the other, but there's still no better way of word of mouth and people saying, "I've been here and it was amazing. You've got to come next time." It's all about that. People matter. People are bigger than Facebook. People are bigger than Instagram. People are bigger than anything. We are the power.
Do you know what I love? I did a video with Jackie, and I love something she said. That back then we were in the moment, weren't we?
Jackie from the Banshee?
No, Jackie Pollock.
Oh yeah, we were.
With Jackie, though. Yeah.
Oh right. There were special times, and they were life-changing. We were in times that was as powerful as the 60s. It was such a cultural revolution. It just changed it just changed our lives, didn't it? For the better. It wasn't for the worse, and we're still living those times now. And I feel over the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years, that we've really gone back to those times again. People have, the kids have grown up. People have got a bit more money. They've got a bit more freedom. They can go out and experience. And I love the fact that people can come to our nights and they can come on their own. Girls can come on their own, and they don't know anybody. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Tell us about your time in Ibiza.
Do I have to? So before Precinct 13? It was around 88, 89. So I was trying. Oh no, it was as I was doing Precinct 13. So I went to play at Glastonbury with the guys from Precinct 13, and then I'd left sixth form college, and then I thought, and I have no planning or any grand plan of anything. So I thought, right, I'm going to Ibiza. So I packed my suit. I finished college, packed my suitcase and all it had in really was records. Went to Ibiza. I was probably got there June or July. So what I didn't know is you're supposed to get, there at the start of the season if you want to get jobs. So I went with my friend, and then within, I think, 2 or 3 days, we'd run out of money, and I'm trying to get gigs, but I was like painfully shy. I was a really shy boy. I was still quite introverted in some circumstances. I'm like ultra confident now, but then in other, social circumstances, I'm still quite, a shy person. So it was hard for me to go up, and I was sort of trying to compete with loads of Cockney geezers as well. So they just go and ask for stuff. So I was just living on the streets of Ibiza with my friend, really. No money, living on a bag of cakes. I could see can you imagine being Ibiza? Everybody's got loads of money. They're spending all the money on drinks and everything. I've got nothing. I'm looking, thinking, oh my God, my life is shit. We were sleeping on park benches. Luckily, I met this guy. He was a DJ at Esperity, and he used to let us sneak in his house. He had a room in this house with this bloke, and we used to sneak in and have a shower in the house, and then we'd go to Esperity, and because he was the DJ, he'd get free soft drinks, so we'd have free soft drinks in there. And my claim to fame, if I've only got one claim to fame, is that I took Pacific State over as a white label. Martin Price from Eastern Bloc had given it me, and it just been done. So I took it over and I gave it to the DJ to play. And so he played it in the club, and Deborah Barker, Andy Barker's brother, her sister, ran over to me. She went, "That's my brother's record." So that's my claim to fame. Pacific State was first played in Ibiza.
Have you influenced people?
That feels weird, though, doesn't it, to say that? Yeah, I've seen stuff online, like Arteka, and like Sasha put me in his first on his first album as influence, which is really humbling. It doesn't feel like me. That DJ person is quite separate from the person that doesn't define me. That is just a part of me. So I never see that thing, there as who I am. I'm not that person at home. I don't speak, about that. If I meet people in normal life, I never speak about that unless they find out about it, because that's that. I'm me, the geeky, weird person that Rosie's always looking at me. Why the hell are you saying and doing that? So, I've seen things, that have influenced people, but I can't really take it in, to be honest. I don't take that side of it. That I take the music really seriously, but I don't take that, that I'm this and that. And it's like when people speak to me and they're sort of treating me in a different way. That's probably when I'm feeling most shy and most uncomfortable, really, because I'm no better than anybody else. I'm no worse. I'm no better.
Yeah, I love that. And when you talk about shyness as well, I've found that a lot of friends I've made on the scene, they're introverts, and
Yeah.
the music connects people, and they can express themselves where they ordinarily couldn't.
Yeah, and it freed me up, and I was lucky, and I think everybody's got gifts, and everybody's got things that they're world class at. I was lucky enough to. I know I'm an amazing DJ, and that's not big-headed. I've worked so hard. I still work, so I probably work harder now. But I found something that I had a talent at. Everybody in this room, definitely has something. I was just lucky enough to find that thing. And there's loads of stuff. I wish I could be, an amazing carpenter. I wish I could. Not injure myself every time I'm doing some DIY, or, I was really good, at electronics, or I could wire the house. Or I look at plasterers and what they do, and I think, oh my God, what you like a genius. So, everybody's got this, and I think they don't appreciate, the salespeople a lot, and they compare themselves against, and I think I wrote about that in my book. Appreciate yourself, enjoy who you are, and that doesn't define you, and don't compare yourself. You're only the best that you can be. You can't be as good as someone else who's better at something else. You've just got to try and be the best, and that's what I do. I don't really look at, since I first started DJing, there was only Steve Williams really that influenced me. After that, I don't really listen to any other DJs' mixes. I just concentrate on myself.
How did Hippos start?
So that was sort of part of the story of the end of doing the house. So I'd met Colin Bolter, who's this really bombastic, colourful character, and he was coming in the club and chatting with me, and we were just creating a friendship. And Paul Mogge was his friend, so he used to say, Paul can probably, do a bit for you. So when I went on, I didn't even want to go on holiday, but when my girlfriend at the time forced me to go on holiday, because I was having such a great time, and why do I want to go on holiday, really? So she'd forced me to go on holiday, and then Paul would do the house. So when I'd had enough at the house, I went off with Colin, and we started this new adventure together, and we decided that we'd find another club. So we found this club called Barclays, yet again the kiss of death with me. So we did one night at Barclays, I think, or 2 nights at Barclays, and I was walking through in the middle with Colin, so we were doing it together, and I was walking through town. I was walking past Boots, towards the Arndale Market, and someone said, "Oh, Barclays is on fire." I went, "What?" So I went round the corner, it had been on fire. So in those days, if you didn't pay protection money to certain gangs and stuff, so Cheetah Mill used to go in there apparently, and they'd ask for bottles of brandy, and they'd ask for money, and I don't know if the guy who owned it set it on fire just so that he could get his money out of it, because he couldn't carry on supporting Cheetah Mill, or that Cheetah Mill had burnt it down because of the protection money. So we didn't have a club. So we were looking all over for clubs and trying to find the right place. And then Colin's from that side, from Colliers, and he said, "Oh, let's try Hippos." And I'd been asked by Hippos when I was at the Thunderdome. So Anthony Ward had come in one night when I was DJing at the Thunderdome, and it was like really rocking in there, sweat, everybody's like going for it. And this guy walks in, and he's got like a suit on with a little dicky bow and like a frilly shirt on. And I was thinking, who the hell's this? And he's like, and he sort of spoke with, through the corner of his mouth, and he's saying, I'd like you to do Hippos. And I said, I played there once. I can't remember who it was, but I played there once, and it was like a daytime thing, and I didn't really see it, didn't really get it, and it was all like glass, and it was mirrors, and red carpets, and I just didn't see it. So I said at the time no, and then we went with Colin, and I don't know, something just twigged. We went with I don't know if we met Ken Leary, who owned the club, he also owned Phillips Park Hall as well. So we went and met him, and I think it was such a change from the other clubs that we'd done, and it was massive. It probably fitted 1,700 to 2,000 people. It had an upstairs. It had a glass stairway, sort of glass bridge, a glass bridge. That's the word. A bridge. It had a glass bridge across it, and it's something just you know, and you just get these moments in your life. It's like, you know, there's been a few times that things have just thought, this is just right. So we said, oh yeah, let's start on a Friday night, because I didn't realise at the time they were really struggling, because it was that transition from like what you used to call Karen and Tracy nights, where all the women would dance around. Sharon and Tracy, not Karen. Karen's the new one, isn't it? Yeah. I'm not down with the kids. So I think they were struggling. So, and it was a big club, and they had a lot of people working in there. So we started a Friday night, and it was the DJ box at first was down on the dance floor where the lighting box was. So we did the first night there, and then I think it was and that again. I don't know if it was. Yeah, I think it was word of mouth the first night we did there, and then they said, "Well, we really want you to do the Saturdays as well." So me being me, I said, "Right, we're going to do a poster. We're going to have nothing on it except Hippodrome. We're going to have it full colour. We found this beautiful image." So Colin actually got some money off his stepdad. It cost us £1,000, these posters. So they were A0, the biggest posters you can get. So I said, right, we're going to stick these posters up everywhere and not tell anybody what it actually is. We're just going to put, you know, we're going to put all these posters up everywhere. And no other clubs really were putting posters up, you know, like us. You saw the band stuff, and they were done by a company. Kevin did all the, you know, for all the record companies. So what we used to do, and you weren't supposed to put posters up because they'd shoot you. Yeah. Another thing that you had to sort of swerve that. So what we'd do, we'd pay Kevin a certain amount of money to put his up, and then we'd put ours up as well. So because we were paying him, it was fine. And they would never put all of them up. They'd put probably 4 or 5. You'd pay him to put all of them up, but they'd only put a couple up. So we did that, and then sort of the rest was history for Hippos, and we just took it to a new direction.
It's just become a legendary club, hasn't it?
It was, but we work so hard. The people think you just turn up, and you do. We work so hard, and Colin was really clever. He had all these promotional ideas and did all these quirky things, like we had a sound system outside, and we had a massive queue, and I would make, sorry everybody, but I would make everybody queue up longer than they needed to queue up, just so that when they got in, you know, they felt that it's all DJing and music, and the night is all about psychology and thinking about how people think. It's like why I never want to play a last record, you know, again, because I'd rather somebody go out thinking, fucking hell, that was amazing. And it's like eating too much food. It can be the best food you've ever had, but if you eat too much of it, it makes you feel sick. So I always want people going out wanting more, and I wanted people to have that, you know, that anticipation to come in the club, and you know, we feel like they could hardly wait to get through the door. So I would make people wait, and we'd just do all sorts of things. So we play. Colin said, "Let's play Des O'Connor to people to get rid of people outside." and then all the press today. I have, yeah. But then the press got onto that, and like the BBC and ITV and all the newspapers, you know, got onto it. But they were trying to interview me, and I wasn't interested. I didn't want to be on TV. I didn't want to be a star. I didn't want that exposure. I was happy in my lane. Again, it's not about me. It's about that. It's about that art form. It's about that craft. It's about the night. It's about the people. It's not about me. So the only thing that I really enjoyed about that was I was watching Des and Mel one day, a few years later, and Des O'Connor was talking about that when I was just sat in the living room eating tater ash or something like that.
Just move on to the present now. Like I went to the to Hidden recently,
yeah,
and I was pretty blown away at how organised and how good.
Nothing to do with me. That's to do with the other one.
Yeah, but just like how does it feel like? Tell us about the stuff you're doing now.
Well, I'd stopped DJing for quite a few decades, really, and then I started DJing again because people kept asking me, because we were really focusing on Rosie's DJ career, going and, but a lot of that took her all around the world, and as glamorous and as amazing as it looks, and you're playing all these places, but if you're not with the person you love, then, and you're not sharing those moments with the people that you love, then it's very lonely. Well, you've seen some of the things that have happened to to DJs, because they're flying on flights and they've got all these people around them, and they don't. I always say there's no HR in the club scene. There's nobody you can say, well, people aren't treating me right, or you're not doing this or doing that. So, and it's even harder for a woman because no one's ever tried to cop off with me, but ever.
You pinched my bum before.
Yeah, I know, but that's me. I'm doing it to you. Yeah, you can report me. So it just got really tiring, for and we love it. As everybody can see, she's the most amazing person that I've ever met in my life. The moment I met her, I said that I wanted to marry her to somebody, because she was just, love at first sight really does happen, and we still love each other as much now.
It's amazing, that deserves a round of applause, doesn't it?
But we appreciate each other. So it got tiring, and then so none of us were DJing, and then I'd not DJed, and I just put that to bed, and then I started DJing again. But then I was playing for all these clubs, and it wasn't about. I didn't feel one of the reasons why I stopped is because it didn't feel right to me, and I've always done things out on how I feel. And then I was playing, and I was thinking, you've got 100 DJs on. It's about the DJ. The people don't matter. It's not about the quality of the night. It's not about making it exciting actually in there. It's making people buy tickets and come. So I wanted to do something, and I'd always been wary about doing anything to do with the Thunderdome, because it was so precious and such an important part of my life, so I didn't want to ruin that or sully that sort of memory. But when I saw Hidden and thought about it and thought what we could do and do it right, and it's just simple things that we do, like selling tickets, to people personally. We've got that interaction with people. Every ticket is like a bit exciting. It's different. You look forward to it. We have 3 DJs on, and 3 DJs that I like listening to, or we all like. And we for the Hidden thing, we don't, even though we've had the same people on, we don't advertise really until recently. We've not really advertised, who's on, and we've made it. And when I do the mixes, I always have the picture of the crowd, because it's the crowd that's important. It's not me. And when we do the videos, it's not me and them. We probably have a flash of us, but it's about, and I want people to feel important. I want people to feel special. We both do. So that's, the ethos of good music, good people, and people feeling special and feeling wanted, really. We want them, and we care about every single person. And if there's any wankers there, the wankers eventually will go, because they don't like nice things. You're going to get the odd person that's a knobhead or whatever, but eventually they disappear. Sometimes Rosie gets upset, about people, but I say they'll get bored, because it's not what they want to be, really. And we do get shit, and we do get negative stuff, but you've just got to, everybody gets negative stuff. You've just got to, some of they think that you're this thing, and they'll say like really personal things about you, but they don't know you. That's not me. Yeah. This is me. Yeah. This is me talking now. So if they're saying things, it doesn't really, the odd time you think, oh, cunt, but then you just delete the comment or whatever, or I'm like super nice back to them. You kill people with kindness. If you they'll lose the power. So people can say whatever they want, but as long as Rosie loves me and Daisy loves me, nothing else really matters to me.
Thank you so much, Jay. You've helped me a lot as well over the last year, giving me contacts and just listening to you now. It's like, you know, you feel like I do. Like what I'm doing is I feel like I'm tapping into the community around the scenes, and that's something you obviously are passionate about as well.
It is, and I think what you're doing, and I've said to you, and that's why I try and help anybody, but that's why I've really, you know, helped you, because I think it's important. It's important to speak to people broader than just the DJs, and you're speaking to people that were on the dance floor, people that were experiencing it. This is our history, you know, we're still living that history, and just people's experiences. It's like, you know, people at school, you know, they're learning about the medieval times or whatever, but this is just as important. This is social history. This is and things that are happening. So what you're doing, Paul, is amazing, really, and I really, you know, I appreciate it. I tell you how much I appreciate it.
Yeah. So should we do our surprise now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Let's give Jay a round of applause.